Did you know that there are trade organizations for mindfulness? Yeah, that's a new thing that's starting. And there are a lot of different ways in which they're showing up. Let's learn about one of them today. Hello, and welcome to Mindfulness Voyage. My name is Ted Meissner. And today we're going to be speaking with Holly Duckworth of the American Mindfulness Association, one of the nonprofits that's set to support mindfulness people in this field, in this industry, and see what that's like. So come on, let's start a conversation with Holly. Our guest today is Holly Duckworth. Holly, good to see you again. Welcome to the podcast.
Ted, it's great to be here.
So glad you could join us today. And we're going to be talking about the American Mindfulness Association. I wonder if you could say a little bit about how that got started.
Well, Ted, you were there when I dreamed it up. I called you. I said, "This is what I'm going to do." Um, I have been an association executive, a mindfulness professional, a meeting event professional, and about 4 years ago, during the pandemic when we all were like looking for something to do, my my business partner, I said, now we have that bandwidth to do a give back to this industry that's given so much to us. So we founded the American Mindfulness Association in, gosh, I think it was 2021, as a 501c6 nonprofit, which is really kind of fancy speak to say this is set up as a chamber of commerce. So we are a nonprofit, but that's only a tax status. This is an organization that is dedicated to the ethics and professionalism of advancing mindfulness for the betterment of the industry. And so the profits that come back from sponsorships, from membership dues and events goes back into the staff, the projects, the efforts, the policy work that we're doing to advance mindfulness. And we have a fabulous executive board and an advisory board. So it's become really a hub for mindful professionals to advance the industry and the profession.
Thank you. That was actually my next question. It was asking about, you structured this as a nonprofit. And the reason that I wanted to hear from you about that, some of what you just said, is there are other associations out there, other teacher associations within the field of mindfulness. But what I notice about several of them is that they are not nonprofit. They may be an LLC, maybe for an individual, but not a nonprofit. In particular, there's a page you have up on your website about being a professional trade association. And so I'm wondering if you might just say just a pinch more about that. You already described it so beautifully so far, but maybe just a little bit more about this particular aspect of it, of how this serves the community and not being constantly chasing profits.
Well, I think it's an interesting example, or a way I can kind of frame it is perhaps in your community, Ted, you've had a chamber of commerce. I know your background is in medical. Maybe you've heard of the American Medical Association or the American Dental Association. Perhaps some of our listeners have heard of the National Association of Realtors. These are business entities that are formed to advance the interest of that particular special interest group. And when we opted for the C6 designation, that gives us one thing that, as I am aware, no other mindfulness focused US based organization has, which is we have the ability to do lobbying for mindfulness initiatives at the state and the federal government level. And some people out there may be going, why would we need that? We're just, dare I say, just mindfulness. And yet what I have been witnessing from my background and sort of just being an observer in the mindfulness space is we've changed. we're not just the Om or the meditation or the singing bowls, but we are part of a greater ecosystem that is supporting the mental and energetic well-being of companies large and small, of individuals large and small. And you mentioned some of those teaching organizations. Now we have large and small teaching companies that are teaching mindfulness. And with that comes a certain sense of both respect and responsibility, that insurance companies are going to be looking to get reimbursed or reimburse people for insurance, or a doctor might give you a diagnosis for mindfulness. And we need to come together as an industry to, I say, build a bigger pie that it's no longer, Mary teacher is competing with Ted the teacher, but when Mary and Ted come together, we can create a bigger industry, letting the state, the federal government know about the work that we're doing and advocating for how insurance companies are reimbursed, how the licensure happens. And, some of these things might be a little uncomfortable for us in the industry or new, but that's okay. And we can utilize some of those other professional trade societies like the Yoga Alliance, or like the American Psychological Association, or even the American Society of Association Executives, to help us build our voice and our credibility to serve not only our companies, but serve the researchers and serve the technologists, to create a greater ecosystem by which mindfulness can then have an even greater impact. That was kind of a lot, but you can see I'm really passionate about this.
Again, it's one of the reasons why I always enjoy our talks together. And I love your use of the word ecosystem. As someone with my degrees in biology, so of course my ears always perk up when I hear that, but it describes it so beautifully because there are lots of different complex factors involved in what this environment is like, whether it's a professional for mental health or whether it's in schools or government or businesses, wherever it happens to be. And the AMA is interested in all of these different areas of it. So I also wanted to ask a little bit about some of the benefits for members. What are you finding that some of the members are most excited about? Here's this particular aspect to joining the AMA. That's really helpful to me.
Well, that's the exciting thing about coming on board in this association in its infancy and toddler experience, is we're inviting members to come in and help us create this industry. And any 501c6, any business trade association like this is going to have at its core networking and education. And what we have found in the ecosystem is the more we're out there, the problems that we are uniquely called to solve are starting to come forward. And then members are building various deeper dive, I call them special interest groups, in those areas. So, member benefits are certainly our monthly networking events, monthly education events, the opportunity to post a question in some of our LinkedIn groups. World Mindfulness Day, we celebrated the initial World Mindfulness Day in 2023, fantastic event. We had 5 panels based on the 5 key pillars of our association. We're looking forward to doing that in 2024. And it's allowing us to expand some of those benefits. We just partnered with a video platform. Members now have reduced pricing access to a video platform called Emovid. We're certainly looking to bring in other additional partners so that we can have that opportunity to connect both traditional mindfulness programs with the technology and the research. One of the most exciting benefits we have right now is something we're calling Journal Club. And we know that there's other organizations out there that are committed to the research, but we want to take that from just being a piece of paper to being a living, breathing conversation. So every other month, our research committee is picking a piece of research, and we're doing a deep dive conversation to unpack that, and even teaching the lay person, or somebody who's maybe more from the teaching side, the opportunity to, how do you pick up this piece of research on anxiety and mindfulness and unpack it, and how do you speak to the outcomes of that research without overstating a claim or understating a claim. And this is such a key initiative for us to become a more professional organization. If you're listening to this podcast, I'm sure you've heard that mindfulness stuff is just woo-woo. And it's all of our responsibilities to start looking at the various types of research and being really clear about not overstating claims, not understating claims, but really partnering with those researchers at schools, large and small, and partnerships, large and small, so that we can speak to the actual data.
I'm so glad you brought that up because that was actually one of my seed questions about the Journal Club. And of course, that's one that would stand out to me doing interviews with researchers all the time is that. So thank you for saying a bit about that. And I wanted to ask, you have monthly Q&A sessions for new and potential members. And I'm wondering if you could say just a little bit about what happens there. What does that look like when people join those Q&A sessions?
I think all the media is telling us, there's this epidemic of loneliness out there, and we're all doing this amazing work and we're serving amazing people. But so often we're just not taking that time to connect to one another across the industry. So these are open houses, new and potential member conversations where we get to share a little bit about what the association's doing, hear from you, what are your concerns and challenges, and start to get those conversations going. So it really is, like kind of said, it's an open house. They happen once a month. They're on the website, and it's just the opportunity to start saying, how are we going to grow through the changes in our industry?
Now, you're also going to be hosting a hub for the International Conference on Mindfulness, which is coming up very, very soon. Those who've been listening to the podcast for a while know I've done a few special episodes on that. And I'm wondering, what are some of the things that you're considering for this hub event for the conference? And what is a hub event?
When I dreamed up the American Mindfulness Association, it's sort of funny that the word American became the first word, because as we have grown and evolved, a lot of the inquiries come from countries outside America. And, Ted, you've been so generous sharing your research and connections, and ICM, kind of coming out of the pandemic, this 2024 event is really a substantive conversation in Bangor for this idea of research and spirituality and connections and exploration and practice. I love that conference has within it like a whole day of just being mindful with one another. And not all of us can get on a plane for time or financial resources and get to Bangor. And I saw that they have been aligning various hubs with areas of geography. So thank you so much to Ken and Becca and the planning team there. Their vision is also to greater expand this data bank. So American Mindfulness Association, we're calling the Americas Hub, still to be evolving a little bit, but we're looking at, our friends in Canada have come on board to partner with us. We're partnering with some of the mindfulness companies and associations in South America. And we've selected 3 of the strands. There's 3 pillars of education they're providing. And we're going to have the opportunity to listen to those conversations and then do some personal reflection. Is this true for my country? Is this true for my business? How does this work? Does this apply to me? And have a conscious, mindful dialogue around this work. And that will be coming after the conference. So if you have the chance to go to Bangor, get on a plane, get there. But if you can't, keep an eye out there, because we'll be hosting an America's Hub. And that hub will be in the business language of English. I know there'll also be some hubs out there in other native languages. So this is truly together, everyone achieves more, right? Let's be a mindful team, and we can agree on some stuff, we can disagree on some stuff, and we can agree to disagree agreeably, right? Let's create that container, because there is a lot of things within our industry that are evolving, and only when we can have these conscious and courageous conversations can we make the industry the highest and best it possibly can be.
Yeah. Now, Holly, we're going to bring you back to talk about World Mindfulness Day. So we're going to have a pause on that. Know that you'll be coming back to talk more about that at a later date. But I'm wondering if you might share with the viewers, what are some things that you personally would like to see in the field of mindfulness in the next few years?
Well, we're recording this leading up to a year of interesting global changes, elections, not just in the US, but elections around the world. Some have happened, some are still happening. And I think all of us to just take an exhale And that includes those of us within the mindfulness industry, and be willing to lead from a question, that we can be both steeped in a religious or spiritual tradition, and some people come to it from that and others don't. And instead of, entrenching ourselves in that one way, can we open our hands and our hearts to say that works for? I've been speaking with a lot of teachers who, 5 or 10 years ago, I will never teach mindfulness with a VR headset. I honor that. And is it possible that we can open up that some people may come through mindfulness from that tech side and then move to traditional, and some might move from traditional technology? So, I think that would be my greatest wish for the industry, is first of all, we start to recognize that we are an industry and there's many pieces of the ecosystem, and we're able to have those conversations in a safe space. The next piece is, of course, the advocacy and lobbying efforts. At the Mindfulness Association, we are starting to identify those key pillars and the partners at the federal level that we need to be educating and become friendly and conversational with, and identifying those partners. American Mindfulness Association, we partnered with the American Psychological Association in 2023 for their Workplace Health and Safety Conference. So greater membership and partnership, certainly within the US, and then our international partners. Ted, we'll put in the show notes our LinkedIn page. That's a great way to contact me and stay up to speed with this group. But recognize that we can only grow as an industry if you're in the conversation with us. And yeah, we'll come back on World Mindfulness Day. But if you have an idea or thought on an education program, a book you want to read, a conversation, something you see, drop me an email, Holly at AmericanMindfulnessAssociation.org. I'm easy to find. This is your association as a greater your, and I feel fortunate to be able to kind of shepherd it in a way that advances the profession. And those are my key things.
Thank you. And for those who are watching or listening today, we will have some important links for you in the notes where links are found in this particular media. Our guest today, Holly Duckworth, American Mindfulness Association. Holly, thank you so much for being here today.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone, for joining today, and special thanks to Holly Duckworth for describing what the American Mindfulness Association is really about and some of the things that they're doing. And remember, every moment you have a choice. Make it the best you can. And I'll see you next time on Mindfulness Voyage.